Hi there, it's Tiffany from Daisy Farm Crafts, and today I'm going to do a tutorial for you of our Crochet Even Moss baby sweater. This pattern is on our website as a free printable. I just haven't ever done a video to accompany it, and it's a little bit tricky in some parts, but not really. But I'm happy to have some time now to add video support for this pattern. However, previously I made it in Red Heart Amour, which has been discontinued. You can still find this yarn. Maybe try Amazon, or there'll still be some stock somewhere, but they're not going to be making it any longer. So I'm substituting today with Sugar Bush Crisp, which is an extra fine superwash merino. Either yarn will work. I am using an H hook, and I'll talk about how this can be adjusted bigger or smaller. We'll go over some measuring things that I do. And I think that's all we need to do. Let's get started, and we're gonna start with the neck, the collar. This is worked top down. All right, so to get started, we just are going to chain 4. And we're going to work what's called a half double slip stitch. So for this first row, work right into the second chain from the hook. So you have this one wrapped around the hook, then 1, 2, yarn over, pull a loop back through and through the 2 loops. So it's only 1 yarn over. Sometimes, did I say they call this the yarn over slip stitch or a half double slip stitch? Because it kind of starts out like a half double crochet, but instead of yarning over again, we're just slip stitching. Now just chain 1 to turn, and now you'll insert your hook underneath both loops. Yarn over and do your slip stitch. Make your slip stitches for 56 rows. Always chain 1 and turn. All right, so I have my 56 rows, and what I'm going to do is just kind of pull this out for a second, make a long loop, while I take my tapestry needle and I'm going to sew the 2 ends together. So make sure they're not curling on you. There we go. And I'll just insert my hook right underneath those 2, the 2 loops, and then I kind of come back around and I'll do it again. We are going to cut this color because just the collar is a different stitch. So let's go ahead. I didn't need to struggle with that tail in the way. Okay, here we go. They're out of the way. Here's my little join. All right, now we're going to insert our hook and what I always call just draw up a loop, pull up a loop with the new color, and leave yourself a fairly long tail. I go ahead and chain 1. So here we go. I'm working 1 single crochet at the end of each row. So sometimes it's like around that thick part, that chain 1 part. Other, it's just right there. Just make sure you work 1 single crochet at the end of each row for a total of 56. All right, so count all your single crochets around and make sure you have 56. You should, if you've pulled up that loop and worked your first one to the left of, this is where I joined the work like that. We pulled up a loop to the right. The first stitch is right here. So my last stitch, my 56th stitch, is being worked right into the place where we pulled up a loop. And I can kind of pull that tighter and disguise it. Now you'll slip stitch to that very first stitch. Just like that. Okay, now we have 56. I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. Now this one is going to count as stitch number 1, kind of this place where we've slip stitched. That's our number 1 stitch right here. So I want you to count around and let's mark stitch number 10. Grab some stitch markers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And mark stitch number 19. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then stitch number 38. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my hook for a second. So this was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 38. Mark it. And number 47. 6, 47. Now I also like to just double check that I make sure that I have 18 stitches in between these 2 markers. This is the front of the sweater. 18, good. And then I'm also going to have 8 stitches in between. This is over the shoulders. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got it. Check over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. And then go ahead and make sure you have 18 stitches in between here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Count this as 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So, all right, now we're ready to go. Okay, so remember I said this was kind of one we're going to start in stitch number 2 here with a half double crochet. And all this even moss stitch is half double crochet followed by a slip stitch. Okay, so I'm yarning over, inserting my hook, yarning over and pulling up a loop, pulling through 3 loops, and then the next stitch is a slip stitch. Yarn over, half double crochet, in the next stitch, slip stitch. Okay, now we're right up to the corner, and now right here in the, I almost want you to think of the corner as something like we're breaking in the pattern, and in the corner we are going to work single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. That's our corner stitch. Now if you want to go ahead and place your marker back underneath those chain 2s, you can, but they're going to be a little bit pretty obvious for us the next row. Now we took a break in that pattern. We ended with a slip stitch, so now let's start the even moss stitch again. Half and a slip stitch. Okay, let's take a break. Let's work the corner stitch. We have it marked here for us. And corner stitch is single crochet, 2 chains, and a single crochet. Start back up with the even moss stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and have you work all the rest of the way around the sweater, working those corners, and I'll meet you back at the end and show you how to join the round. Okay, I'm right here at the last 2 stitches of the row. So I work a half double crochet, and then right into this space, the last stitch of the row should be a slip stitch. And you're going to come over here and you can kind of see these 2 V's of the first stitch of the row, and that's where we'll slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn. And now we're ready to start the even moss stitch again. However, this is the thing. We need to match the stitches. So we ended this row with a slip stitch, ended that round with a slip stitch. So we're going to begin the round with a slip stitch, because you can tell this is the half double crochet from the row below, and we need to work half double crochets into half double crochets. Okay, so now it's kind of the opposite. On this round, we start with slip stitch and then work half double crochet. But the same is on the corners. We'll take a break in the pattern and we'll work. Okay, so this last stitch before the corner was that half double crochet. And now, oh, actually though, we need to increase. This is the one thing about these corners. There is a single crochet stitch right there. So we're going to increase here and we will work slip stitch. Okay, sorry. Almost led you astray there. Do work a slip stitch there. Now, around those 2 chains, we will work the corner stitch, which is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now don't forget to begin the round with a half double crochet into that single crochet stitch from the row below. Then begin your slip stitch into a slip stitch. Sometimes if you're confused as to which stitch to begin with, just look ahead and you'll see that if the half double crochet is 2 stitches, then begin with the half double crochet. So here's the slip stitch. Here's a half. Now here's my corner. You can kind of see, make sure you don't miss working into that single crochet. Slip stitch, it was the next in the pattern. Now take a break, do a single crochet, 2 chains, single crochet. Make sure you work into the single crochet coming out of the corner. This is how we increase on each round. So what I mean by looking ahead, I'm like, okay, there's my half, there's my slip stitch. I've got to work the half double crochet. to get the pattern going again. They just stack on top of each other. All right, I think you can do it. I'm going to leave you to it. You do those other 2 corners, and I'll show you how to join for this round. Okay, I just worked half double crochet into the very last stitch there. Now the slip stitch of this round, remember we worked slip stitch, so try not to come over here and slip stitch to the half double crochet. Slip stitch into the slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn. Here we go. This is a round where we begin with half double crochet. So every round, you know, you'll alternate back and forth. You'll get real familiar as to what these stitches look like. And that's why when I put it on the pattern that it's a little bit advanced, beginner, maybe intermediate. You got to be really familiar with this stitch, what it looks like, and basic sweater construction here. Okay, and how to join rounds. Okay, now look, I just did that half double crochet. I'm approaching this first corner. So I got to make sure I work into that single crochet with a slip stitch. Then single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Find that single crochet, and it looks like there's my half single. It looks like I will do a half double crochet there. To get the pattern going. There's my slip stitch. There we go. So if you are getting frustrated with this and you just still really, really want to make a baby sweater, one that is very, very similar to this, but it's just a little bit easier, is called our Houndstooth Sweater. And you could, it's with the griddle stitch, it's double crochet and single crochet. And you could definitely skip alternating colors in that sweater and just do, you know, the colors that you want. You could still do, I mean, if it was the colors that was attracting you to the sweater of like a solid neck ribbing and then a solid body, you could still do that sweater. I can put the link down in the descriptions for that one too. So it's our Houndstooth sweater. And I've heard a lot of beginners have a little bit more success with that. Another beginner friendly one on our site is called the Pink Single Crochet Baby Sweater. And that's a great place to start too if you are brand new about even just like joining for the armholes, which is going to be coming up next. So anyway, I don't want you to get too frustrated if this has just been a little bit above your skill level. I want you to practice it though. I mean, definitely, you know, it's crochet, rip it out and redo it. But anyway, here's what I've got so far. So I'm going to continue increasing until we get, I can't remember, I'll have to look at the pattern. I do it to measurements, so, and I'll show you that, but I'm going to keep increasing here for a minute. Okay, how have you guys been doing as I've been working away, just trying to do my increases? I've been worried about you and your joins, and I know that they're so tricky, but we've got to, the reason why I did it this way is so that this can be as barely noticeable as possible, because this runs down the back of the sweater. You know, the front of the sweater will be all nice and smooth, but the back of the sweater, I wanted to disguise that seam as much as possible. So anyway, this is the end of round 8, where I'm slip stitching into the last slip stitch of the row and coming over here. And I know it's just so hard to see where you know, where to slip stitch into. Chain 1 and turn. I'm going to work one more round. So here's a slip stitch here, and I was thinking that it might help. Let me get this half double crochet made. If we go ahead and mark that first stitch of the row, so that when you come back to it, you know that that's where you'll slip stitch into it. And let's see if that works for this round, because I really think that's probably the trickiest thing, is learning how to join those rounds. And that will, if you can get it the same for every time, so you know, one round you're slip stitching to the half double crochet, one round is the slip stitch, because we're alternating every single round. But anyway, and then also, how are you doing getting those single crochets before you work the corner stitch? I'm hoping that they've been fairly easy to work out and to begin the even moss stitch again. So let's go over that one more time. And then I'm going to talk about how to size the sweater. So here's my single crochet. I'm going to work a slip stitch. Here's those 2 chain 2s, which I'll work the corner stitch around. Single crochet, chain 2. And then I'm wondering if it's sometimes tricky to find that single crochet. Just don't forget about it. Start with the half and then work the slip stitch, and then you're off and running. So if you're so far, if it's not looking like this, just take it out and do it again. Be patient. Another idea too is, if you're missing, you know, if you think that your problem is not getting that second single crochet worked after the round, go ahead and mark that stitch right after you make it. Mark those corner stitches. That sometimes just is really, really helpful to know what to work into. Okay, enough from me chatting on. Let me just finish this, work this round, and we'll come back to that marked stitch. Okay, this is the end of row 9, and my little tip worked. Look at that. This is right where I need to join the round. So this is the last half double crochet of the round, and it's marked for me. So hopefully that little tip will help you join these rounds, especially the slip stitch round, I tell you, because that stitch can tighten down on you and disappear. Okay, now start in the half double crochet right there, work another round. We're working towards a certain amount of increase. I've got to go, because eventually we're going to join the armholes like this, and then we'll start working on the bodice. It's really so cute. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what size you want to make your baby sweater. I feel like this baby, the smallest this size can be is about a 6-month size. So I have a little size chart on my website that you can access to and print off if you want to, or refer to. But here's the 6-month size, and this is a few measurements that I like to look at, or you know, you can measure the child that you're working for, and then you'll know approximately how long to make the sweater. But the one I'm paying attention to right now is the cross, either the chest, which is good, which is 17 inches across, and the shoulder to shoulder, almost 8 inches. So from the shoulder to shoulder, technically the shoulder is back just a little bit. When you join this, you know, the baby, it actually will start coming down when you add the sleeves on. So I kind of have to approximately measure you know, minus a row or two. And it looks like we're at the 7 3/4 about, you know, with that distance. So it's okay if it's a little bit more. But the chest measurement is a good one to look at. And that's 8 inches. And I know on the chart it said 16, but they're imagining, you know, that you're wrapping this around the baby. So this would be a pretty good row to stop on. If you want it, it'd probably be a little bit just like a small 6 months. But if you want to go bigger, then you're just going to keep increasing the rows and measure each time and refer to the chart and make it, you know, how much wider that you want it. You know, 8.5, you don't have too much to go. Most little kids are, you know, there's not much. It's like another inch and you've got it up to the almost 2-year-old size. So where you would add more is down on the sleeve length. You know, you'd add a little bit more. Look, there's 2-inch difference. So that's where you'd be adding. Okay, so say this is the size of sweater though that we want to make, the smallest size. We did that chain 2 and turn. We're going to work our way back over to the first corner stitch. All right, here we go. So our next stitch in the sequence, so this last stitch before the 2 chains was a slip stitch. I'm going to work a half double crochet right around those 2 chains. And then I'm going to bring the other 2 chains over, and the next stitch would be a slip stitch, and I'll work that around the 2 chains. And then we'll work a half double crochet around that single crochet. And then here we are back to the slip stitch. So we've just continued the even moss stitch around the sleeve. Now you might want to go ahead and double check your measurement here. I just realized that I'm joining on round 9 and that might be a little bit too small, so I might take this out and go add one more. But you can also measure the depth. That's one of the measurements on the baby size chart that you can also refer to. Armhole depth for a size 3 months, it looks like, is 3 1/4 stitches. So that's pretty much, it's kind of, this is really going to be a small 3 month if I do this one. So I think I'm going to go add another round around row 10. But anyway, that's how you join for the armholes. Just continue the pattern. Just treat those chain 2s as stitches in the pattern. One other little tip I want to give you too is, say you have a chubbier baby that you want to make this sweater and you need a little bit more width through here, but he's still a little guy, and the shoulders are fitting okay, but you know, need a little bit, or you want the sweater to be a little bit baggier. Just go ahead and work half double crochet, slip stitch into 1 chain 2 space, and then do the same over here. And then that way you'll still continue the pattern. But you just gave yourself just a little bit extra room through the armhole and through the bodice, because now you have 2 extra stitches that you can work into. And we'll still work half double crochet around that single crochet. And there we go. We're off and running. Okay, I'm working under the armhole here, and I'm going to try and maintain the pattern in those 2 extra ones that I put in. So here's kind of my big half double crochet, but I'm still working half double crochet around it. And then here's my slip stitch. So that adds those 2 extra ones in underneath the armhole, just to give you, the little baby, a little bit more space in case you think it's needed. You could do, or you want just that little bit bigger sweater. So that's what it looks like, but look at that. We got our even moss stitch right underneath the armhole. Give us a little bit more room in the arm too. All right, let's get started on the armhole round. Just make sure you can turn the sweater inside and outside. It's pretty much reversible, but you want to make sure that before you pull up a loop, these little V's, you can see the little V's, the tops of the stitches are facing this direction, you know, as if you chained one and turned and you're going around like that. So here's the half double crochet, actually, stitch, single crochet. So hard to know sometimes, but just go ahead, insert your hook underneath there and pull up a loop. Don't be too picky. It's the armhole, so it's okay. Chain one, and I like to go ahead and single crochet right into that space, kind of lock down my pulling up of the loop. Okay, if we can kind of look ahead, we'll see we're going to have to just estimate or count back to which stitch we start with. So I can tell that's my half, single, so then go half, I'm not single, slip stitch, half, slip, half, slip. So I'm going to start with the slip stitch right there. Then I'll work a half double crochet, then a slip stitch, and essentially we're working this round. It's just kind of a, you work in every single stitch, but you just want to make sure that you've matched up the pattern. Now the same thing looks a little tricky when you're finally coming back around. You'll see some funny spaces here. I think that's our chain 2, you know, from when we round. So here's the slip stitch. I'm working into that, but I'm definitely looking ahead, and since I started the round with a slip stitch, I want to make sure I end the round with a half double crochet. But we also, I'm going to have you slip stitch to that single crochet, so we need to work a half double crochet. It's like pretend that single crochet is a half. So we'll end this round with a slip stitch to the top of that single crochet. It's more about thinking about the pattern than it is about where to, you know, make sure you insert your hook on that first round. Okay? It's just more important to make sure we're alternating it. So it looks like we got it. So here we are. I'm going to begin in the slip stitch, and then we pretty much are home free for the rest of the arm. All right, I'm ready for the last round for the sleeve, to decrease it in just a little bit, to kind of gather it in a little bit. I'm stopping about a ½ an inch shorter of what I need measuring wise on the chart, so that I can have enough room for the little gray cuff that I'm going to put on it. So for this very last round with the gold, all you are going to want to do is work one last row of, we're just going to work single crochet. We'll put 2 single crochets in a row, and then we'll work a single crochet 2 together where we're combining it across 2 stitches. So here's regular single crochet, And to combine it across 2 stitches, you insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And that is just doing like a little subtle decrease, gathering the sleeve in just a little bit. Now we will join this round with a slip stitch, but we will pull through with our gray, same color that we used for the neck. Let's go ahead, chain. We're going to start right away with that ribbing. So chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then kind of turn your work to the side there, and let's do those half double crochet slip stitches. Remember those, the half, and then pull through the loops left. And you'll work 3 of them back down towards the wrist. Go ahead and turn your work. Let's slip stitch to the next stitch and the next stitch. Then this you kind of have to turn your work back towards you. You don't need to chain 1 or anything. Just work. Okay, it's hard right here at the first. There we go. Just work those half double slip stitches. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. I didn't get underneath both of those loops. One's hiding down there on me. There it is. Chain 1 and turn. Now let's work our way back down towards the sleeve. And slip stitch over 2. Okay, you're just going to work this all the way around. And then we'll sew the 2 ends together just like we did with the neck. So okay, I've got it worked all the way around, and now what I'm saying is that we will just clip this off, clip off this. We've got some ends to weave in. Grab our tapestry needle and sew up this sleeve just like we did the neck, kind of going, you know, matching up the stitches here, working around in a circle, getting that all woven together. And you will be doing this exact same thing, except obviously on a bigger scale with the bodice. This is how you work the ribbing that's on the base of the sweater. Let me show you the picture. So it's the same thing, except you'll just want to chain a little bit longer but that's how the bottom of the sweater is worked too. Just pay close attention that you are, like I said, you're working on the outside of the sweater on both sides, because it will look different. Here's the inside. Well, you'll see. Let me see if I can show you that. Look at this. So it has a different appearance on the inside when we slip stitched it. So that to me looks like the outside, and this is the inside. So when you get to the bottom of the sweater, just make sure you're working in the correct direction so it matches the sleeves. Okay, so I've got to finish the rest of my little sweater here, and then I'll take pictures of it and I'll attach it to the video. But basically, that is all you need to know for this little sweater. Good luck to you. I hope it works out well. I apologize if I'm not quite so clear. This is a little bit, it's a little bit harder to teach a sweater just on YouTube. I wish I could just be right next to you, but that's okay. I think this gives you a glimpse of how it's made, and I think you'll probably do okay. Come and show us or come and tag us. All right, we will see you next time.